do a blind reacts, and let's go. To express himself, Lyle is a little bit more reserved and calculated.
It was awful, and I wish I could go back. We will spend the rest of our life in prison, but if I'm not,
it's like Lyle seems like he's more optimistic, and Eric is more realistic or pessimistic. Too pessimistic. Well, might be in Lyle's eyes, pessimistic.
not put in the same prison, there's a good probability I will never see him again, and that some things that you cannot take, and there's some things that you can endure. With everything taken away, would be the last. It's the last thing you can take.
Do you think the media has portrayed you fairly? Can you tell?
I don't know if anyone can be portrayed fairly in the media, who they are.
Well, let me say it. There are people, a great number of people, who think that you two are spoiled brats, that you are evil, that you are monsters. What do you say to them?
That's not who I am, but I can't defend that. Because I came from a family of wealth, it doesn't make me spoiled.
I would be surprised if anybody that was present at that trial and saw the whole thing, rather than snippets on the news, would feel that.
A jury found you both guilty.
Right, but I don't think you weren't guilty because they found you spoiled.
Or evil.
Or evil.
I'm just a normal kid.
Oh, Eric, you're a normal kid who, your parents.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
And you still say you're a normal kid?
Well, I didn't have normal experiences, but I am. I did that, and there's not a day that goes by that I don't think about what happened and wish that I could.
Yo, that was crazy. Barbara got to chill.
Take that moment back, or change what happened. But
He's trying to ease into, like, he's very crafty. This is the intellectual one. Lyle is more free-spirited. Eric is the intellectual one. He thinks deeply about things and he goes into his mind. That's why I told the therapist he shouldn't even been in there if he was trying to stay out of prison, because he's too intellectual. He's too in his mind for his own good.
It's hard to live with that.
Do you feel remorse?
Tremendous remorse. And I think...
There's tremendous pain. I mean, from the second that I got back to the house after the shooting.
And Eric is trying to manipulate with his intellect, whereas Lyle is trying to manipulate with persuasion and charisma.
I saw what happened and I said, this is wrong. This is awful. How could this have happened? I couldn't accept it.
You couldn't accept it, but you called the police. You pretended that you hadn't done it. You cried. You went off on a spending spree. I mean, we all read about it. You bought Rolexes, you bought cars, you didn't say, oh my God, what have I done, and turn yourself in.
Well, that's not really what happened.
Well, I sort of stuck it all together, but...
Yeah, you did a good job at it. We got back to the house, the police were there, and it was a matter of telling him you did it or just saying, I don't know who did it. And that's what we did. And if I could go back, perhaps I'd say I did it.
And part of that started from the fact that we waited afterwards, and the police did not come. And in that time that we waited and waited, we did make a bad decision to not have to...
We expected the police to be there. I mean,
you expected the police to come there and arrest you.
12 shots in the middle of Beverly Hills on a...
Look at this relationship between the two. Like, they don't let each other talk. I wonder if that's indicative of how things went in the house. They don't let each other finish a sentence. Like, Eric is more prone to cutting Lyle off. They don't agree with the approach that either is taking. It seems like Lyle will be looking at Eric sideways, but he won't really cut him off too much so far. But it looks like Eric is more prone to cutting Lyle off. So Lyle is like a silent leader, and Eric is more so, shut up, leave me alone. You're trying to stop me from doing this and that. And that's an interesting dynamic.
Sunday night, and no one calls the police. We're waiting at the house. No one shows up. And I still can't believe it.
So you called the police, but at that point, you had already decided
We had decided not to.
You weren't going to say anything?
We were very stunned, and we felt that we would go to jail, obviously, and it was a selfish reason to just not want to have to go through that.
What about spending the money? You know, cars, watches, invested in businesses, the good life.
Well, it was the same life before or afterwards.
With more money.
With more money, but I didn't know what to do with the money. It got to a point where I have all this money and so much pain, I don't know what to do with it, and eventually...
I don't know, you're losing me. I would think that you would be in such grief that you wouldn't be able to buy Rolexes and invest in businesses. Explain to me, let me understand. I'm the public.
I don't think that it's understandable. I mean, people react to some traumatic event like that in different ways.
You went to your psychologist, Dr. Oziel, and told him that you had committed this crime.
I got to a point where I could no longer live. I felt that I was the worst person on earth, and it got to a point where I couldn't live with myself anymore, and I needed help. And so I went to him, and that is what the catalyst was for me getting arrested in Lyle.
You've had a lot of therapy.
6 years of intense therapy.
How are you different than the man who came in here?
I'm 6 years older. I'm a lot more mature. I came in here as an 18-year-old kid who didn't know anything about
What did you
life.
learn about yourself?
I learned I learned what love was about. I learned what love was about because of my grandmother, because of all my relatives who didn't say, I can't believe you did this. Instead, they said, Eric, I know who you are. You're not this type of person. You're not the type of person who could do this for no reason.
Have you had therapy, Lyle?
The same therapy, and it really works to just have someone you can communicate with that's willing to listen. All our lives, it was just sort of fending off things.
It almost sounds like prison was a good thing for you.
It was.
It
I
was?
mean, at first, I like my parents, and I spent 6 months out there in horrible agony because I had done this. I mean...
Eric keeps trying to convince us that he just feels absolutely terrible in case there is any opportunity to get out of prison. Look, I am opening or doing this. Maybe he's been told to do this by counsel, to just be remorseful in everything that you do and every interaction with the public so that people can believe you, so that maybe that you get an opportunity for parole later on if we go through an appeal, so that you seem remorseful. I don't know what to make of them talking about therapy and growing older and being more mature.
A year before, I told my mother how much I loved her. I could not have imagined doing this even a week before to her. I adored her. And then suddenly you're arrested, and everyone can know you did it, and you can finally tell people, and it's a relief.
Lyle, you're looking at your brother like you almost never heard this before. Tell me how you felt.
You know, for me, emotionally being in prison conditions was really not, emotionally was not a shocking difference from the life we had lived, because we lived really a very stressful, fearful life. And to me, it was kind of like, I felt I should be punished. And it didn't feel good, but there was a part of you that feels like,
That's right.
It's better.
You get a lot of mail?
We still get a tremendous amount of mail.
Hundreds?
I've gotten hundreds, thousands over the years.
We asked your lawyers to give us a sample of some of your letters. A great many of them seem to deal with from people who have been abused themselves and relate to you. Lyle, what do you say to people who write to you?
A lot of people that have written were very, they drew a lot of strength from watching the trial and from seeing Eric and I. And I've gotten mail after the verdict of people discouraged. And I wanted to say to them to not lose hope because of this one case and this one verdict, very unique situation here, and that this does not mean that if they go get help, people won't believe them, or people will treat them harshly, or they'll be ridiculed. I don't feel they will be.
That's not to say do what we did. Don't do what we did, but don't be afraid of getting help.
People that want to reach out to social workers for help, but are ashamed or afraid.
Do you also get love letters?
Yeah, some...
Find that strange?
It's a strange phenomenon that a lot of love letters come in from people that don't know you at all.
Do either one of you have girlfriends? Do either one of you have someone who cares particularly about you now at this point in your life?
I do. I have someone who I love very much and is a saint to put up with everything that comes with this.
Can you tell us who she is?
Yeah, her name is Anna Erickson, and I hope that we can we can get married. Even though it's a very limited relationship because of where we are, the exchange of love and sharing, it keeps you in touch with yourself and softer. And, you know, otherwise you can become very hard and cold in here.
Is this some?
I'm gonna stop it there for right now. It's part one because it's a little bit of a longer video, but I just want to summarize and say that this reads, or this reads like a very emotionless business deal, or earnings call. If you've ever heard one of those, like companies get on the phone and say, this is what we've done over the past quarter. So it's just stating the facts, very cold. We made this money year over year. This is what we've done year over year. And these are the facts, and that's it. How do you feel? I feel remorseful. I feel like I've hurt people. I feel like I shouldn't have done that. And I feel like, you know, yeah. I guess the thing that I'm struggling with to put into words is the